Being confident is something that I struggled with for the greater portion of my life, and I've kind of held back from talking about it because I think it's such a broad topic, it can be exerted in so many ways. Maybe you just talked to someone new and after that conversation you thought, wow, that person is extremely confident. Or it could even be as little as just the way that someone walks. But today I want to talk about the one thing that made confidence easier for me, and I realized it when I had the opportunity to be in scenarios that most people don't get to experience. And luckily, you don't have to go through the same experiences, you just have to watch this video. So before I started this whole YouTube thing and gained a bit of success on this platform, I always looked at people in terms of hierarchy. And going into social situations with this frame of mind always made me feel like one of the lesser confident people in the room. Because I was a stoner teenager with little to no ambition, I hadn't accomplished anything yet. The most I could brag about was how many beers I could shotgun in quick succession, but that's not something to brag about with most people.
3, 2, 1.
So when it came time for me to go to an event or gathering, even with people that I knew, I froze up. What could I possibly talk about with people to make them feel like I'm interesting and confident? What made me worth feeling confident for? Well, I did pick up some tips online as to how to appear more confident. I could stand with a very upright posture, I could make good eye contact with them, have good hand gestures, but it was so hard for me to put those things into practice when I was in scenarios which required me to talk to very highly regarded people. And this happened quite frequently as a teenager because my parents knew some of the most wealthy and confident people in Buffalo where I grew up. So my dad was, well, he still is, a real estate agent, and sometimes when I was a teenager I would go with him to the buildings that he was showing. And I knew those people had done a lot. I mean, they were just about to buy a several $million building and they were well known in Buffalo. They'd always try to start up some sort of small talk with me, and the best that I could muster up was maybe 1 or 2 lines, because I just didn't feel like I was on their level, nor did I know if I ever would be. And then that in turn would spill over into my self-confidence, because I couldn't even get myself to talk to others well, added to the fact that I wasn't super good at anything, made me feel like I wasn't worthy of feeling confident. It was really disheartening to me as a teenager knowing that I hadn't done anything of real value in my life, and it's hard to at that age. You're just starting to figure things out. And then everything changed, and it started when I started to make videos and build a brand. I know what you're thinking right now. Cole, you finally got successful on YouTube and you did things that made you feel accomplished, and because of that, your confidence finally stuck. That is not actually what happened, so let me explain this. When I started to gain a lot of growth on YouTube, I got a lot of eyes on me. Because of this, I was able to come into contact with some people that I hadn't even dreamed of talking to, even for a second. And the first person was vegan bodybuilder and YouTuber Brian Turner. He managed to see some of my vegan bodybuilding videos when I used to do that on this channel, and he was supporting me before I even had like a few thousand subscribers, and he liked my videos and asked me to be his video editor. Long story short, I moved to Vegas last winter, and that's only about an hour flight from San Diego where his home was, and we got the chance to meet. When we first interacted with each other when I hopped off the flight, I was really nervous. You can probably tell by the way I was talking.
You know, I've met with people from online before, but not like you.
But after the first few hours, we started opening up with each other more, and I got a lot more comfortable. That trip was a really eye-opening experience to me, and it definitely boosted my confidence. I had placed so much emphasis in my mind to these superficial numbers, these YouTube subscribers that I had attached to Brian. And then as I talked to him and I got to know him, I came to understand that he and I are extremely similar in how we act and what we do on a daily basis. That once unattainable level that I put Brian at, that pedestal, suddenly vanished when I actually spent time with the guy. And that was even more solidified this past weekend. A few days ago, I had the pleasure of meeting and staying with someone who I've always been fascinated by in the personal development niche, someone who's made me laugh more than any other self-help YouTuber, a man many of you know and love, 𝙎𝙤𝙘𝙖𝙧, aka Captain Sinbad. Nikhil actually found me through none other than my retention videos, and then he followed me on Instagram, and I messaged him, and we eventually got into talks about doing a podcast, which we finally did, and after that we talked about meeting one day and scheduling a date, and we finally got around to it. And so this past weekend, I stayed at his house for a few days, and I got a little peek behind the curtain as to how Nikhil performs and acts on a daily basis. Nikhil's cinematography and directing are some of the best I've seen on YouTube with the help of his videographer and video editor, Thomas. When I watch his content, I think of a man who's really got all of his shit figured out. And what further strengthened this ideal in my head was how much planning he was putting into my trip over to Minneapolis.
I actually have a few ideas. Like we could go to a casino, we could go to Stillwater and do the whole like 1930s vibe.
Yeah, I'm down for anything.
And so I kind of just expected him to function like that in every aspect of his life. What happened when I met him though was a tad different. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not bashing the kill. I love the dude and we became good friends on this trip. And he definitely has his shit together. He's not faking what he's doing on his channel. But there were a few things that I observed that made me feel like I had no reason to not be confident with him.
With Cole Hastings, what's up? Let's go, man. Stop messing around.
And mostly it was just how he lacked some basic organization and cooking skills. I actually had him get some groceries for me before I flew out there, and on that list was a couple cans of black beans. And when it was time for me to actually use them and I opened the can and I drained them, he said he was so fascinated by the whole process and he asked me if I needed to still cook those beans. Not knowing that canned beans, something that I feel like everyone has seen, but maybe I'm wrong, are already fully cooked. I hope he doesn't hate me after this. Like, his eating and cooking habits were a little sporadic among other things. Not a huge deal, but all of those things just made me realize, wow, this is really just a normal ass dude like me. So by going through all of these experiences with these people that I had looked up to and I thought were higher than me, I realized that all of that shit is an illusion. I'm sure you have people like this, people in the media that you see that you think are untouchable, right? They must have something that you don't, right? Well, actually, in almost all cases, it's just that this person did one thing over and over way more times than the average person does in their life and became really good at that thing and gained status through their struggles. And it wasn't the success itself that came with grinding on the same thing over and over for years to gain confidence, although that might have been a small part of it. It was the opportunities to come into contact with highly successful people that comes with that success, and then they came into contact with those people that they looked up to and they realized that, wow, we are literally all the same. And when you start to get to that point and you start to internalize this, even if you were a really shy kid, you become a lot more confident. But you don't need to attain anything to realize this, like I had to. What you need to do is put everyone in the same mental playing field as you, because they are. They all get extremely depressed, they all lack simple abilities and endeavors not related to their craft, and they all shit on a toilet just like you do. If I just destroyed the image of your celebrity crush with that, then I'm sorry. The problem is that society puts these people on imaginary pedestals and says this is the person you should aspire to be, whatever this person looks like to others. If you tried to be how the media portrays a specific person, you'd exhaust yourself, because that person doesn't even do and act how the media says they do all of the time. That's just a regular person. And who was it that decided what things you have to do or what ways you have to act in order to appear confident or really be confident? That shit is made up too. The most confident people I know are the ones that realize that we're all a fucking mess under the surface. And now when I go into any situation, whether that's trying to be confident around a lot of people or just be confident within myself to do something, I understand this. Nobody knows what the they're doing all the time. Everyone is made of the same bones and flesh. No one is above anyone else. Everybody is just a human being. There's nothing special about them. There's nothing actually scary about approaching a woman who's made up of the same exact things as you. It's just a human being. What puts someone else above others is just some random thing that we all decided to agree on. So in any situation, I might as well just act the way I want to and do the things I want to do, which means being my true self. And now I express myself fully and act the way in which I feel the happiest. Big thank you to all the patrons on Patreon. If you don't know what this is, it's a platform separate from YouTube where I'm putting out exclusive videos and podcasts. If you want to check that out, the link is in the description, patreon.com/Cole Hastings. And that is it for this video. I hope that this helped you. Maybe it didn't, but yeah, hopefully it did a little bit at least. I love you guys. I'll see you. Have a good rest of your day or night.